what did the draft tell us about how the Niners view their roster, Larry?
It was really interesting. I thought it told us that they don't want to use Deebo as a running back anymore, or they aren't going to use Deebo as a running back anymore. I don't know about don't want to. I shouldn't say that because I think they very much do want to. I think he doesn't want to be used that way. I think that's what the LSU running back pick is about. And I think ultimately what we also saw is that their philosophy on how to win on the defensive side of the ball has never wavered. They believe in you burn the edges with pass rush, you move the quarterback off his spot, and then it doesn't matter necessarily who's in the secondary. And they went about their draft business the exact same way. They said, you know what? Why pay Nick Bosa millions? And I compare it to like having like an ADT security system. Why pay for some fancy security system from Brinks or ADT if you're going to leave your back door open? And that ultimately is what you have when you have nobody at the other end spot. Kyler Murray, heavy rush from Armstead, heavy rush from Bosa, quarterback's flushed. Where does he go? Oh, is he hemmed in? No, he's not hemmed in because you have nobody at defensive end. He slides out the side door and he beats you for a 30-yard run. So they had to close that back door. Drake Jackson is the closing of the back door. So now Armstead is going to have a much better statistical year this year because now you got Jackson off one end, you got Bosa off the other end. The quarterback's going to step up in the pocket, and he's going to step into the arms of Armstead. Now everybody's going to be talking about how great Armstead is because the sack totals are going to go up again this year because of the presence of Jackson. So to me, Grant, it told me that the way they viewed their D-line with D Ford, Jackson is the D Ford replacement who's healthier. He's got the great first step. They're not worried about he's not good against the run. They're not worried about him 245, 255, 260 range. True. That's fine. They don't need him to be 275 like he was freshman year at SC. They need him to burn the edges, move that quarterback off the spot, have him step it up, and have Armstead sack him. So
it's a good wide nine pick.
He's a wide nine answer, and they don't care what he is against the run.
Yeah, I mean, look, if Chris Kasarik gives him his blessing, I'd never bet against Chris Kasarik handpicked players.
Great coach,
ever. So he's going to be good. I'm with you. That's a good interpretation. I have a totally different reading on the 49ers draft. The way I see it is they agree with you that their Super Bowl window closed and that the next window hasn't opened yet. That's how I interpret this draft. They're like, look, we don't know what to expect from Trey Lance. We like him, but he's essentially a rookie. So as long as we're going with an unknown at quarterback, we're going to go with an unknown at strong safety, at nickelback, at left guard, maybe center, depending on what Alex Mack does. Like they're just going to let all their young guys play and see what they got and maybe try to accelerate the development so that the next Super Bowl window opens as soon as possible. Because who knows when it could be 2023, it could be 2024. It kind of depends on this next generation led by Trey Lance. I disagree with it. I feel like they went so far with such a stiff at quarterback and it was about Deebo and all these other players that there's no way Trey could be worse. But I think they're just kind of conservative and they're like, we have a rookie at quarterback. What do you expect from us? We're going to draft a bunch of guys who are a year away. So Drake Jackson, why did he fall? Because he's a year away. I mean, he's 21. Danny Gray needs strength. Ty Davis-Price, a beast. Everyone else, Burford, a year away. It just seems like they're like, whatever. Well, we're competing in 2 years anyway.
I think you've handicapped that perfectly. And you know what? We got a little indication from Lynch in the pre-draft conversation I know you were there for when he said, hey, we may trade back from 61.
Yeah.
Well, why would you trade back from 61?
We already have 9 picks.
Yeah. But he was thinking, you know what? Let's build up our roster. I mean, like they've between the draft and after the draft, they got 5, I think, pretty decent offensive line prospects, but none of them are ready to play right now.
Right.
So I think they're taking the long range view. Absolutely. I think they view Trey as a prospect that they need to coach up, and I don't think that they think that they're there right now, but this draft was about, let's load up as much as we can with as much depth as we possibly can before and after the draft. Almost a 15-person undrafted class to go with their 9-person draft class. That's a huge influx of talent. Now it's about coaching them up, and in maybe a year, maybe 2, your Super Bowl window reopens. I agree. I think it was real clear that they view themselves as a good team that's taking a step back, that they've contended for Super Bowls. They're going to take a step back in what they spend. They're going to take a step back in their view of things, and they're going to give themselves a year. The fans give them that year. Does Trent Williams, some of the veteran players, going to give them a year? I don't know. But I think that if you gave them truth serum and they had to tell us the truth, I think they would say, our Super Bowl window's closed, and we're going to try to have it open again in a big way a year from now.
But they won't say it because they were in the NFC Championship game last year, and they're trying to sell tickets, and they're not saying they're punting the season. But they are. It's crazy to me that, think about it. A team, forget the Niners, what we know about them. A team goes to the NFC Championship game. The next year, they have 9 picks, but nothing in round 1. You would think that's a team that's going to trade up. That's a team, right? They were just in the NFC Championship game. They have 9 picks, no first round. They are going to move up, consolidate, and get someone to put them over the top. Not the 49ers. No, they're just going to chill and take best player available. Because they're not really concerned. They're really – and that's all Jed, man. Jed's like, I trust Kyle. I trust John. We made the playoffs. We're good. There's no urgency. There's zero urgency. I mean, it's not like Eddie who will fire you and then rehire you the next day over and over and over again because he's crazy. No, not crazy. Please, I didn't mean it like that, Eddie. But you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
He's maniacal.
He's a crazy competitor.
Yeah. And Lynch also kind of stated it with the finances too.
Yeah.
He's like, we've spent a lot of money in recent years.
Yeah.
Okay. And then where are you going with that, John?
What about now? What about your window of opportunities closed?
Right. Well, he's like basically almost announced that they were going to take a step back on the cap this year. Like they were going to not spend as much money this year. Well, why would you do that? You would do that if you felt like this was a year where you were really just restocking.
Yes.
And that's what I think this year is about. I think this year is about restocking the 53-man and seeing where they're at. Now, all things being equal, are they going to try to win? Of course. Do they want to win? Of course. But as far as all in on winning, they're going to take a step back, reload, reset, and go for it in a year or two.
They're trying to be realistic. They're like, look, we like Trey Lance, but how can we really have a Super Bowl window open with a first-year quarterback who only played 1 year of college? Like, how optimistic can we really be? I think that's maybe a little too pessimistic. I mean, I'm not even that pessimistic.
I agree.
What you did with Jimmy Garoppolo. Come on.
I agree. I mean, first of all, Grant, I don't know how you feel about this. I'm not even convinced, based on the 2 games that I saw from Trey, that if they had gone with Trey the whole year, that they wouldn't have had an identical record. It may have looked different. It may have played different, but he would have developed. They would have played. I'm not even.
And they'd be in such
convinced.
a better spot right now. Can you think? Imagine a world where Trey Lance started last year and what the Niners would be right now.
They'd be in a much better spot. Yeah. They feel like they got the right guy, but because they didn't play him, they now turned this next year into his rookie year.
Well put.
And so now they've got a rookie quarterback in his second year.
And I feel like a lot of us who are arguing for this, advocating start Trey as a rookie, is because of this. We were if you don't do it now, then next year is the reload year. You're just kicking the can down the road. Right.
Which was it's going to be in that we'll see how that plays.
Yeah.
That's the other reason they can't talk about it, because the Trent Williamses of the world aren't even going to be here in 3 years. So, it's like a lot, you can't really say, hey, we're reloading, rebuilding. The fans don't want to hear it. The veteran players
want to
hear
that.
Yeah.
No.
But I personally think that if they had played Trey this year, then this would have been the developmental year, and I think it probably would have gone similarly. Instead, they played this back and forth game, kind of deluding themselves that they could win it all with Jimmy, run it back. They got Jimmy. He couldn't even get a first down in his last 2 drives, and they go home. I personally think that they're too pessimistic on this upcoming year, because I think Trey Lance is going to hit the ground and be a much better quarterback than what you even saw against Houston. And I think people are going to realize, like 5 or 6 games in, that, you know what? This team is ready to contend right now, despite the fact that Trey's in year 1, because he's not really in year 1. He'll be in year 1. He knows the system.
Yeah,
exactly. And he cares about football, and he cares about the process of football. So I think he's done a little bit to improve.
I still think that Kyle wanted Trey to start last year. but I just feel like he thought that that Jimmy had the locker room, and that if he put it up to a vote, Jimmy would win in the locker room. And then I think Kyle was afraid of losing the locker room, because I think one of the things he thinks he has in his favor is how much players love him or trust him, like him. And I think that's gotten tested a little bit, and I think that's partially why a lot of these vets aren't coming back. Like, where's Tart? Why is Tart not here? Why?
Do they want Tart?
Not really. I just think this is probably some vets who were vocal about Jimmy that are no longer here, that weren't super excited about the next version of the 49. I can't prove it, but why would you not have Tart back? What was that about? I'm saying, K1, what, Lakin, what's up? Maybe there were some vets who were like, I don't want any part of that. I was here for Jimmy. I believe in Jimmy. Saying.
Well, hey, who was the receiver we just saw saying that Jimmy was the leader? The guy was in Atlanta, Mo Sanu.
Yeah.
He basically said it. He's like, that team went as Jimmy went.
Yeah.
That's
the perception.
I also think, I don't have proof of this either, but I'll still throw it out there because I really believe in it. I think when we saw Kyle kind of, bounce back and forth between quarterbacks, I bet you there were veterans who just said, no more. We don't want this, because he dabbled with it early. I think he wanted to continue the quarterback competition into the regular season, and the veteran leadership on the team pushed back, and that all stayed private.
I think you're right. I mean, what's crazy to me that people don't remember, they wouldn't put Trey Lance in at all down the stretch. In the first game, they both were in the opening drive. And that means that Kyle Shanahan scripted it, that we're going to have Jimmy take us down the field, and then we get to the red zone. Trey Lance is our red zone quarterback. I mean, that's almost what Kyle was doing early in the season. I think Jimmy was like, I don't like it. And a lot of players in the team were like, I'm on Jimmy's side on this. That's not how you play football. It's ridiculous. It's a gimmick. We don't need to do gimmick stuff. Well, okay. Goodbye, Jimmy.
and because of that, the competition didn't continue.
Right.
It got paused. And so then they just paused the whole year on Trey, and now it's okay. Well, we'll just coach up Trey in the offseason and take a run at him next year. But for that reason alone, there's no chance in hell that Jimmy's on the roster this year, because there's no chance in hell that Kyle would put himself through that. They're not going to go year two of the veterans in the room, determining the quarterback and who plays and who stays. I mean, it's just
what's crazy to me too is I really think Jimmy Garoppolo his last start was going to be in Chicago. It was going to be very like Waterloo-esque, like your hometown. He was going to lose to the Bears in Chicago. And then Deebo Samuel went 83 yards on 3rd and 20 and changed everything. If he had lost in Chicago, I think Trey Lance would have been starting the next week, and there would be a whole different discussion about where the Niners are right now. They still probably would have went to the playoffs, and they would have an experienced Trey Lance. But freaking Deebo. It's all Deebo's fault. It's all Deebo's fault, man.
Also, I don't discount too that if they had done that, Grant, then the trade market for Jimmy would have been virtually nil, probably. Right. And so I think, once again, we talked about this, a few weeks ago. Each one of these guys who has power in the Niner organization, Kyle, John, and Parag, they all have their internal scoreboard.
Yep.
And they want to make sure that they're winning, but they want to make sure that they're also, most importantly, winning on their internal scoreboard.
Right.
And the trade is John's internal scoreboard, and he knows it. And if he really had, if the organization would come to him and said, John, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're beyond that. That'll be one thing. But no, they're petty enough to hold these things over his head and be like, no, what did you get for the trade? What did you do for us? So,
we like Adam Peters too.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe you should go to Amazon. Maybe we can promote Adam. It's true. I'm telling you, I think of all the people there, John is the one who's the most insecure. Like Adam Peters.
He's the one whose position's the least secure.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I don't think he's an insecure person.
Not insecure.
I think
yes, in his
I think Parag is there.
Yes.
And Kyle is there.
His scoreboard, he's like winning by 100 on the York scale. Parag is he's a record setter. Yeah. It's Jerry Rice.
Parag and Kyle are lifers.
Yes.
Lynch, he's got to prove his worth and continue to prove it.
Pretty much. And I like what you're saying. This is a big thing on his on his scale, because what else is on his wins and losses? D Ford, L.
Solomon
Thomas, L.
Reuben Foster,
L. Yeah, so there's some big ones.
Witherspoon.
This was his big win. He beat the Patriots, right? he got over on the Bill didn't want to trade Jimmy Garoppolo, but his hands were yeah. He's really staying up at night because he didn't get Jimmy Garoppolo last
Right,
Friday.
yeah. Something tells me Bill's all right.
Scotty Martinez says, Grant, if you had to bet $5K, where is porn star Jimmy landing? On the Niners. I've already made my bet with my dad. The Niners, I think the Niners are crazy. Insane. So that's how I feel. Jay says, Larry, you told us Niners could get 10, 35, 38 in Becton for Deebo. You got my hopes up for nothing. You grinded too much film to think that, right? Was it surprising how the NFL was kind of lowballing the Niners on Deebo?
That wasn't me saying they could get that. That was me speculating about that story that came out about the King's Ransom. That's the Godfather-like offer. We were thinking, what is an offer that you couldn't refuse? And to me, the offer that you couldn't refuse was the 10th pick, the 2 2s, a 3, and Becton. That was the offer.
I was surprised that the Niners didn't really get anything special for Deebo. Pretty much the league valued him right there with A.J. Brown. Pretty much right there.
Well, here's the thing. Everybody who wanted to trade for Deebo is going to have the same pause that the Niners are going to have because they know the same thing that the Niners know, which is he's a good receiver, not a great receiver. He's a great runner, and he doesn't want to be used as a runner. So that wasn't going to change whether he was here, there.
Or you don't really know what he wants, right? Like he's a big enigma right now, and to trade for him, you'd have to sit down with him and ask him a lot of questions, and would he even tell you the right answers? Would he even be, you know what I'm saying?
Do you think it's that complicated? I mean, I think everybody knows that you're going to take more hits as a running back than you are as a wide receiver, and wide receivers get paid more than running backs. So I want to be, when it's time for payday, I'm a wide receiver. You know what I mean?
I just want to hear it come out of Deebo's mouth. I don't want to play running back. Like, say that. I want to, because I don't insinuate it. I don't have someone else say it to me. I want to hear him say it because I can't believe it that he would actually say that. Dude, you're not scoring touchdowns as a wide receiver. You score your touchdowns when you get the ball handed to you from 20 to 25 yards out. Are you telling me you don't want those plays? I was in Dallas. You were in Dallas. I saw you turn to Kyle and say, give me the damn ball. You weren't talking about on a screen as a running back. I'm guessing you want those carries, right? You just don't want the goal line stuff. You don't want the between the tackles. That's fair. I think you want the outside the tackle stuff. You better if you want to score touchdowns. I'm just saying. Deebo.
I think he knows. Deebo's smart. Deebo knows that his value is tied to his running ability. So he knows he's fine with running it. This is all my speculation.
Yeah.
He's fine with running it as long as he's compensated. Yeah. And the Niners were saying, here's our offer. Well, he's like, hey, I'm not being compensated. He's not going to come out and say, I don't want to run the ball because he just wants to be compensated. I think they'll compromise. And I think Davis Price is part of that compromise, and the dollars will be part of the compromise, and that's my best guess.
But what I want to say is, if Deebo thinks he's not running the ball anymore, he's mistaken, because Ty Davis Price is only going to take the between the tackle stuff. When it's time to get the big home run outside the tackles, Deebo's the only one who can do that on this team. Still, everyone else is a bruiser. Jeff Wilson Jr. and it's like, but yeah, great. It's Deebo. You still have a role, and they shouldn't overuse you, but they still need you to do that thing that you do.
What did he average for carries last year?
He averaged he averaged 6 yards a carry, I think, from the shotgun.
Well, how many carries?
Yeah, like 35 carries.
35 carries, but then most of them were after that Week 11 game, right? Yeah, so, what did he average as far as carries? You think from the Cardinal game through the end?
Like attempts per game, probably like 5 or 6.
Yeah, my guess is that number will be lower this year.
Wow, he had 59 carries last year for 365 yards, 8 touchdowns. How did he do that? 8 touchdowns on 59 carries, and I think the average yards out was 16 yards out. What a
which is incredible.
Incredible.
Yeah,
hard to duplicate.
He's a really good runner.
Yeah.
So he just wants to get paid, and he's got people in his ear saying you don't want to be used as a running back. I think he's a tough guy.
6.2 yards per carry.
6.2. Yeah. 6.2
with Jimmy. Imagine if he was running the zone read with Trey, that would probably go to 7 or 8 yards. It's like, jeez.
Well, Grant, just imagine what it would be like this year when you have Danny Gray running off the coverage and creating space. Now you have more room because you got to defend the length of the field against a speedster like Gray. He might be even better this year if they ran. Deebo would be better as a runner this year.
If he's motivated and in shape like last year, I would think he would be better. Carson says the draft wasn't the plan. Deebo forced our picks in the 3rd round. I would have traded Deebo for Waddle. He had 104 receptions as a rookie.
I don't know.
That's an interesting comment.
Was Miami going to offer that?
Let's not talk about let's focus on the first sentence, the first two. The draft wasn't the plan. Deebo forced our picks in the third round. There's something to that. I mean, I always said if you're going to replace Deebo, you have to do it with two players. You do it with a bruising running back and a speedster at wide receiver. Well, they did. And, we said that there's probably going to be a good resolution between the Niners and Deebo. We still don't know that. And they still don't know that. And I guess you have to be prepared for the worst. And now they are.
Totally. Now and if you asked us, if you said at the end of the day, what is Deebo really? What's the way you can sum him up? He's a dynamic player who can play running back and wide receiver. Mm-hmm. Who did they draft? In the LSU kid and then SMU kid. They're both dynamic players. Mm-hmm. One's a receiver, one's a running back. I think that guy was absolutely spot on.
Ninth Wonder Comic says Kyle and John think their window is closed. They should be fired. Trey, Jimmy makes them top 3 in my opinion. Kyle coaches scary and plays the offseason scary. Yeah, man. What? Where is the aggression? When they made this move for Trey Lance, I was like, wow, man, they must love this guy. They must have so much confidence. And ever since then, it's like, where was that confidence? You really think you're getting worse going from Jimmy to Trey? Then why did you trade for Trey? What is going on here? It's so weird. So weird.
Yeah, I don't think they should be fired. I mean, I won't go there.
That's a little harsh. That's
a little harsh. I mean, they have been to 2 NFC Championship games in the 3-year period. And the Jets haven't been to the playoffs in 11 years. So, I mean, I don't know if I'd be firing these guys. But I hear you about coaching scared. I think of all that criticism in that last one, to me, the coaching scared is absolutely the one that's the most right on the money.
HR says Jerry Reinsdorf, the owner, broke up the Jordan Bulls, not the GM. Kraus, Parag is the lapdog here to do the York's bidding, protect profits, says someone with a horse face. No, it's a dog face. HR. Well, that's good. That's good historical context. Thank you. Luis says it's official. AZ versus SF in Week 11 in Mexico City. What can we expect from that game? A winner and a loser, unless it's a tie. In which case, both guys.
Yeah, I would say what you can expect is poor air quality and a
probably
stadium.
Kyler Murray to be injured.
Yeah,
probably
a stadium that is sinks by a quarter inch during the game.
Cliff Kingsbury giving that I don't have no idea what's going on. Why are we losing by 16 face?
Stadio Azteca.
Lots
of
it's gonna be great.